This is part 8 of set 8 of our Values Ed Majorship Enhancement Drills. Let's continue. Number 141. Which of the following is an example of an issue which sociologists would study? Letter A. Which political system is best? B. Why is the rate of abortion rising? C. How do police actions influence crowd behavior? And letter D. What is the interaction between chemical and behavior? Your answer should be letter D is wrong, letter B is wrong, the answer is letter C. We are talking about the crowd. So social sociology. So sociology is the study of human society, social behavior, interactions, institutions, and collective dynamics. So one major area of sociological inquiry involves understanding kung paano yung iba't ibang social forces and institutions katulad ng law enforcement, government, and social movements affect group behavior. So the question, how do police actions influence crowd behavior, directly relates to social dynamics, collective behavior, and law enforcement's role in public order, making it a key area of interest for sociologists. This falls under the subfields of criminology, social psychology, and political sociology, where researchers examine factors such as police authority, use of force, social unrest, and protest movement. So, in the Philippines, in the context of our country, studies on police-citizen interactions have been relevant in the wake of issues such as extrajudicial killings, yung EJK, the war on drugs, the protest responses, which raise questions about policing practices, public trust, and human rights, all critical sociological concerns. Ngayon, yung letter A, which political system is best? This is more of political science rather than a sociological one. Bagamat sociologists can study the political institutions, they focus more on how political systems affect social structures and behaviors rather than determining which is best. Yung letter B naman, why is the rate of abortion rising? So this could be studied by sociologists also, but it also falls under public health, psychology, and ethics. A sociologist might investigate social attitudes toward abortion, policy impacts, and religious influences, but the question itself is broad and could be studied from multiple disciplines, multidisciplinary approach. So yung letter D naman, what is the interaction between chemical and behavior? This question belongs to the field of biopsychology or neurochemistry, which focuses on the physiological basis of behavior rather than sociological influences. So 141 is letter C. Number 142. A threat to internal validity is the same as blank. Letter A. Poor internal consistency of scores. B. Bias on the part of the researcher. C. A limitation on the generality of results. And letter D. An alternative causal explanation of results. Ang tamang sagot dito ay letter D, mga kapatid. Internal validity, tinutukoy nito yung extent to which a study accurately establishes a cause and effect relationship between variables, ruling out alternative explanations. So, yung threat sa internal validity ay nangyayari when there are other possible explanation for the observed results that were not controlled for in the study. So halimbawa, in educational research, if a study aims to determine whether a new teaching method improves student performance, but students in the experimental group had extra tutoring, mayroon pa silang extra classes pagkatapos may mga tutor pa sila. Samantalang yung ibang control group ay wala. So then the improvement may be due to tutoring rather than the new method. So this is a threat to internal validity dahil ang alternative causal explanation ay mayroong pwedeng, it exists, yun ng tutoring. So pwedeng mayroon palang ibang rason kung bakit nag-improve. So this is relevant in Philippine educational research where studies on DepEd's K-12 curriculum, yung alternative learning system, and new pedagogical strategies must ensure strong internal validity to produce reliable conclusions. So yung letter A, poor internal consistency of scores. Internal consistency refers to how reliability test items measure the same concept. Halimbawa, Cronbach's alpha for surveys, Meron tayong range ng Cronbach alpha coefficient kung ilan yung nakuha niya para masukat yung reliability. Anyway, this is an issue of measurement reliability, not internal validity, yung A. So yung letter B naman, bias on the part of the researcher. Bagamat ang researcher ay bias, ang bias ng researcher ay nakakaapekto sa internal validity, it is not the same as the threat to internal validity. So bias is a broader issue that can affect many aspects of research, including data collection, interpretation, data analysis, discussion. Yung letter C naman, a limitation on the generality of results. So it refers to external validity, which concerns how well the findings can be generalized to other populations, settings, or times. So internal validity, in contrast, is about ensuring that the independent variable truly cause the observed effect within the study. Okay, so 142 ay letter D. Number 143, Mr. Alcantara obtained numerical data on the household incomes and expenditures of families in the school community to determine the family values on thrift, industry, and judicious spending. Mr. Alcantara can transpose the numerical data into blank. Narration, bar graph, measures of dispersion, statistical analysis. Ang tamang sagot dito ay letter B, bar graph. Ang bar graph is an effective way para ma-present ang numerical data visually, making it easier to interpret relationships and trends. Since Mr. Alcantara is dealing with household income and expenditures, a bar graph can help compare spending patterns, income levels, and savings habits across different families. So this visual representation allows for easier identification of trends in thrift, pagiging matipid, industry, and judicious spending, which are key family values that he aims to assess. So in the Philippine educational context, data visualization is widely used in research on economic literacy, financial education, and social studies, and so on. So government agencies like the Philippine Statistics Authority, or PSA, and the Department of Education usually use bar graphs to present data on family income, expenditures, economic trends, and educational access. Yung letter A, narration. Narration involves describing data in words which may not effectively highlight numerical relationships, patterns, or comparisons. Boring basahin yon. Parang nobela. Yung letter C naman, measures of dispersion, katulad ng range, variance, standard deviation, etc., are used to show how spread out the data points are. So, useful ito in statistical analysis, but they do not visually present trends like a bar graph does. Yung letter D, statistical analysis, involves complex mathematical methods to derive insights from data. Bagamat ito ay mahalaga sa pag-interpret, it is not a way to transpose numerical data into a visual format. So 143 ay letter B. Number 144, you received the list of units to be taken in social studies, including the imperatives of education. Being in the rural area, which of the following do you consider the first in the list? A. Population education. B. Consumer education. C. Green revolution. Letter D. Taxation. The correct answer is population education. Letter A is wrong. It should be letter C. Green revolution. Green revolution refers to efforts to improve agricultural productivity sa pamamagitan ng modern farming techniques, yung high yielding crop varieties and efficient resource use. So since the setting is a rural area where agriculture is a primary source of livelihood, teaching about the Green Revolution becomes the most relevant priority. it directly impacts economic sustainability, food security, and rural development, which are crucial in Philippine rural communities, sa mga probinsya. So in the Philippine education system, agricultural education is emphasized in rural schools as part of the K-12 curriculum under Technology and Livelihood Education, yung TLE, and agricultural extension programs. So the Department of Agriculture, yung DA natin sa Pinas, also collaborates with the schools to promote sustainable farming and food security initiatives. Yung population education, letter A. Bagamat mahalaga ito, kasi magkaroon ng family planning. Population education focuses on demographics, family planning, and urban migration, which may not be the most immediate priority in a farming-based rural setting. Yung letter B naman, consumer education, is valuable for financial literacy and wise spending, but it is more relevant in urban areas where commercialism is higher. Mas mainam ito sa mga syudad kaysa sa probinsya. Yung taxation is a key topic in social studies, but it is not as directly impactful to rural agricultural communities as the Green Revolution, which affects their daily livelihood and economic survival. So 144 ay letter C. Number 145, what is comprehensive list of important or relevant actions to be completed in a specified order so that no step is forgotten? Survey, questionnaire, checklist, report card. So your answer should be letter C. Checklist. A checklist is a structured tool that ensures all necessary steps, actions, or requirements are completed in an organized sequence. So it is widely used in research, education, business, and project management to avoid omissions and ensure accuracy. So in the Philippine education system, checklists are frequently used by teachers, administrators, and students for lesson planning, student assessment, and compliance monitoring. So sa DepEd, ang DepEd also gumagamit rin ng checklist in curriculum implementation, classroom observations, and accreditation processes para masigurado na nag-a-adhere tayo sa educational standards. So yung letter A, survey. A survey collects data from respondents through questions or questionnaires. It does not ensure the completion of steps in a specific order. Yung letter B naman, questionnaire is a tool used to gather information from individuals, typically for research. Unlike a checklist, ang questionnaire does not guide step-by-step actions. At yung letter D, report card, summarizes student performance, but it is not a tool for ensuring that specific tasks are completed in a sequence. So 145, a letter C. Number 146, I would like to know if my students are listening to what my instructions are. Which level of learning in the affective domain am I assessing? Valuing, responding, receiving, organization. So your answer should be letter C. Receiving. In Bloom's taxonomy of the affective domain, receiving is the first and most basic level of learning, where learners become aware of and attend to a stimulus, in this case, the teacher's instruction, yung stimulus. So it reflects the student's willingness to listen, pay attention, and be aware of information before they can proceed to deeper affective learning. Yung letter A, valuing, involves assigning worth of significance to an idea or behavior, which is higher level of affective learning than merely receiving information. Yung responding naman requires students to actively engage or react to what the teacher, what they receive from the teacher. Halimbawa, asking questions, participating, recite. But the questions only ask if students are listening. Yung organization naman involves integrating values into a system, a much more complex process than simply listening to instructions. So, mas mataas na level na ito ng organization. 146, a letter C. 147, a reliable evaluation tool to determine more accurately the student's perceptions of right and wrong is the tool that enables the learners to identify both the level and the narrative description of perceptions. So this tool is the blank. Holistic rubric, innovative rubric, assessment rubric, analytic rubric. So, ang tamang sagot dito mga kapatid ay letter D, analytic rubric. So, an analytic rubric provides detailed descriptions of different performance levels that allow students to understand both the level and the narrative descriptions of their perceptions. So, it assesses specific criteria separately rather than as a whole, making it effective for measuring moral reasoning and ethical judgments. So, yung letter A, holistic rubric, provides a single overall score rather than detailed criterion-based feedback. Yung letter B naman, innovative rubric, not a standard term in educational assessment. It lacks precise definition. Yung letter C naman, an assessment rubric, this is a general term that could refer to either holistic or analytic rubrics, but it does not specify the detailed level-based assessment required in the question. So 147 ay letter D. Number 148, a study comparing the television viewing habits of 3 different age groups of children is an example of the blank method. A. Longitudinal, B. Cross-sequential, C. Experimental, D. Cross-sectional. Ang tamang sagot mga kapatid ay letter D. Cross-sectional. Ang cross-sectional study examines different groups at a single point in time para makompare ang kanilang pagkakaiba. So, since the study involves comparing TV viewing habits across different age groups at one point, it is cross-sectional research. In the Philippines, cross-sectional studies are frequently used in education and social sciences to assess the trends, katulad ng DepEd's research on students' media consumption and digital literacy. Yung longitudinal studies the same group over time, but this study compares different groups at the single point in time. Yung cross-sectional naman combines longitudinal and cross-sectional elements, which is unnecessary for this study. At yung letter D, C, experimental, it involves manipulating variables, which is not the case here since it is an observational study. So 148, letter D. Number 149, an important problem solving which reveals children's feelings and attitudes and which arises from problem situation is blank. Testing, discussion, observation, interview. What's your answer, teacher? Your answer should be letter B, discussion. Ang discussion allows children to express their thoughts, emotions, and attitudes in response to a given problem. It also encourages reflection, interaction, and reasoning, making it a valuable tool in values education, conflict resolution, and social emotional learning. Letter A, testing, measures knowledge but does not explore feelings and attitudes effectively. Yung observation naman allows teachers to watch behaviors but it does not directly engage children in problem solving. And then, hold on. Yung interview can reveal attitudes but it's not an interactive problem solving method. So 149 is letter B. Number 150. What method of thinking and learning draws the general qualities of a person from a particular trait? A. Problem solving, B. Deductive, C. Discovery, D. Inductive. Your answer should be inductive, from general, from a particular to Number 150. What method of thinking and learning draws the general qualities of a person from a particular trait? Letter A, problem solving, B, deductive, C, discovery, and letter D, inductive. Your answer should be deductive is wrong. It should be letter D, inductive. So inductive reasoning moves from specific observations to general conclusions. So if a person is observed to have specific traits, an inductive approach would lead to generalizing those traits as a part of their overall character. So in Philippine education, inductive reasoning is commonly applied in science, research, and values education, aligning with constructivist learning theories where students derive general principles from specific experiences. Yung problem solving This is a broader cognitive process that does not necessarily involve drawing general qualities from specific traits. Yung deductive naman is the opposite of inductive reasoning. It moves from general to specific rather than specific to general. At lastly, discovery, a learning approach rather than a reasoning method. So focusing on exploration and finding new knowledge rather than drawing conclusions from specific traits. So that's discovery. Okay? So 150, I letter D. And that's part 8 of set 8 of our Values Ed Majorship Enhancement Drills. And that brings us to the end of the set 8 of our enhancement drills, which we took from the previous actual let questions. Now it's time for you to count your correct answers. Conservative score is 120, at least 120 points, but at this point you should be aiming for 130 and above so that you can top the board exam. Okay, so if you have not yet reached 130, so keep on practicing the drills until you get 130, 140, and then 150. Okay, congratulations. And then keep on reviewing so you can see your areas for improvement. Retake the drills so that you can increase the retention rate, and of course recheck and recheck so that you can be confident before the board exam. Alright, so that's all for now. I'll see you in the next set or in either Prof Ed or Gen Ed drills. Thank you and God bless.